Wondering how your expectations stack up to the realities of a long-distance relationship? Want to know the common misconceptions people have about LDRs and how they can affect your relationship negatively down the road? I've got all that coming to you right now. Hey everyone. I'm dating and relationship coach Ryan Patrick. So this week, I need to essentially rip the band-aid off and address a massive trend I see happening right now, especially during COVID, that I'd like to see disappear. And that is this major movement towards long-distance relationships. I must forewarn you though that some of you are not going to be particularly happy with me after you hear what I have to say. But you know what? Tough love ain't easy. But first, if you're new to my channel and you want dead honest, straight shooting truth about men and relationships from a happily married man, just click subscribe below and make sure to click that little bell so you never miss one of my videos. Also, feel free to click that like button to help me keep my actionable, free advice coming to you every week. Thank you so much for your support. Also, I'm now available to answer any personal questions you may have or provide any immediate advice you might need about a guy on my Wizio page at daterboy.com/Wizio. Depending on how quickly you'd like a response, I can provide you a 4 to 7 minute video response in either 7 days or as little as 2 days. So hit me up and tell me a little bit about what's going on. I look forward to hearing from you. Now, let's dig into the expectations versus the realities of long-distance relationships. If you're currently involved with a man long distance or thinking about jumping into an LDR or long-distance relationship, I'm gonna lay out 8 realities versus the expectations you have going in with this type of arrangement. And if you two haven't met yet, you need to be aware of the romance scams to avoid that I'll bring up a little bit later. I'm gonna start with the realities that you'll initially see and then gradually build to the realities that you'll eventually see as your LDR progresses. The first one is, I'll come see you versus you come see me. You may hope your long distance guy is excited to come see you, and maybe even frequently. The truth is, especially if you two haven't met yet, guys are going to expect you to come to them instead, since neither of you two have any real investment in each other yet. Also, if you two haven't met yet, never ever be fooled into sending him money. I don't care what his story or his excuse is. As I mentioned in last week's video, romance scams are responsible for $304 million in losses in 2020. So don't be a victim of these. If you're long distance with a guy, you have a lot of traveling in your future in order to make it work. The second one is video dates versus never-ending texts. It's common when we meet someone we like online or on vacation to make a lot of promises about our future behavior with that person. One of those expectations you might set with them early on is that you'll jump on a Zoom or FaceTime call with them on a regular basis. The reality is your schedules will never align exactly the way you want them to. Your intention of having video dates every day with him will gradually shift to an easier form of communication like texting. If you aren't able to visit him frequently, like if he lives in another state or country, you might find that you're stuck in this long text thread with him that's lacking the real connection you're seeking. The third one is consistent visits versus sporadic visits. If you live relatively close to one another, like a 1 to 3 hour drive, consistent visits with one another will be much easier in the beginning. But the greater distance you two have, the more sporadic the visits will become. However, there are 2 situations where LDRs have less negative realities. If you and your guy started your relationship locally, and one of you two has a military deployment or a temporary work situation, these realities are much less of an issue because there is a set timeline. If you two have a set date where he's returning to you or you're returning to him, then you two will have a much easier time making the distance work in the long run. The fourth one is intimate sex versus passionate sex. Now, both of these types of sex sound positive on the surface, and they are. However, one of them fades down where the other one typically does not. When we're super connected to our partner, we get to reap the benefit of exchanging intimacy with them. Passion, that hot and heavy thing we have with someone that's new, is fleeting. It isn't meant to hang around and last at such a high intensity level. So when you two visit with one another after having long distance, it ends up being a burst of passion in the bedroom. Rather than a sustainable, long-lasting, intimate moment you build with somebody locally first. The fifth one is falling in love versus forcing love. In comparing these very different types of sex from number 4, you'll also find love evolving very differently for LDRs. Falling in love is a very gradual process that happens over time. It's not to be confused with infatuation, which is a feeling that comes on really fast and strong. When you're seeing a guy long distance, those moments when one of you are visiting and you two are together tend to be jam-packed with activity as well as emotion. After all, this is a rare opportunity for you two to convey your feelings about one another. So you tend to try and pack it all into one sitting, leading to forced love versus falling in love. The sixth one is distance deadline versus distance status quo. When you decide to invest in a long distance relationship, you like to believe that the distance has a deadline, or rather an endpoint. This will ultimately mean that one of you two has to completely uproot your lives to move closer to the other person. Because it's really hard to grow your investment in someone long distance, it really becomes a stretch that one of you two is willing to take that leap or that risk. Instead, you end up conveying to each other that you have the intention of moving closer, but reality usually pushes you closer to that not panning out. The seventh one is relationship security versus relationship resentment. Making the mutual decision to be long distance with one another isn't a small one. Therefore, this can make you feel like your relationship is secure. The reality is, resentment loves distance, and distance can start chipping away at all of the good things about the two of you. At some point, you start saying to yourself,
"This has to be easier."
Enough trips and sleepless nights without your partner will wear on you. Now look, I'm not saying LDRs are impossible. Some people find great happiness with them. However, the odds are not in your favor. Relationships are hard enough without the distance. The eighth one is growing together versus growing apart. When we actually make that connection with someone new and we see their face, we hear their voice, and we read their texts, it feels absolutely exhilarating. Regardless of where you two are on the planet, you feel nothing can come between you two. When in reality, every single day will present an obstacle to the two of you. Don't allow the preconceived value of some connection with some distant man prevent you from finding and experiencing that connection with someone locally to you. Look, COVID isn't going to be around forever, so don't tell yourself you have no other options in creating a meaningful relationship with a man, because you do. Now, based on my last long-distance relationship video I did about a year ago, I know comments should be interesting surrounding this topic. So tell me right now, what's been your experience surrounding long-distance relationships, and have you found a lasting satisfaction with them? And if you have, please tell me how you have below. Also, if you'd like to get my advice on your personal situation with a guy, hit me up at Wizio right now at daterboy.com/Wizio and tell me about it. I take notes and I give you actionable advice that will specifically apply to you. Finally, if you found this video helpful, please give it a like below. Thanks for stopping by today, and I'll see you all next week.